Gentlemen and female gentlemen, I am happy to take up the call. The Call of Cthulhu! So many people have been telling me that I had to freaking watch the Bloodborne lore, because as you know, I've done all the Lovecraft lore, alright? I'm planning on doing the Wendigoon big fucking Cthulhu video soon, so that is definitely high on the list, especially because I am working on a Lovecraft video for the main channel, Nuxtaku, which is a channel that still exists, believe it or not. So, very excited for that. But apparently, Bloodborne is a game similar to Elden Ring, also made by FromSoft, and also has insano-style lore that is very Lovecraft-inspired. So, I have consumed the Elden Ring lore. I have consumed the Lovecraft lore. It's time for Bloodborne lore, baby. As you know, I, Lord Nuxanor, will consume all lore. All right, so let's freaking go, baby. Let's go.
The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear.
And the oldest
and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown.
Before he shows who said this, before he shows the quote, this was said by H.P. Lovecraft, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm telling you, I've been doing a lot of research into the specific Lovecraft lore, but this was one of his most famous quotes.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I told you I'm doing my fucking research. Huge penis Lovecraft himself. Harry Potter Lovecraft, well known for his racism.
Our eyes are yet to open.
What the fuck? Our eyes are yet to open?
Fear the old blood.
These were the words spoken between Master Willem and Laurence, from the cautious teacher to the ambitious student. Fear what you do not understand. Fear the old blood. And so
hell's this old blood? What the?
Our story begins.
He pre-watched Lovecraft. Shut up!
As you might have guessed, with blood. Ancient blood. Deep.
I guess that's why the game is called Bloodborne?
Below the city of Yharnam lies the ancient underground labyrinth of Tumeru. You know it as the Chalice Dungeons.
Yeah.
The old labyrinth was carved out by the Tumerians, superhuman beings that are said to have discovered a sinister truth. The hunters had another name for the labyrinth. They called it the Tomb of the Gods.
Okay, so wait, so Bloodborne takes place, okay, I've never played Bloodborne because they've never ported it to PC because they hate people. But the point is, does this story take place in this dungeon underground? Is that like the dungeon underground that this whole story takes place in? God, I love when fear is a primary plot point and theme in a story and not just a symptom of a narrative. In most horror, the reason why I think most horror is kind of cringe these days is because fear is the goal, and they want the goal of the narrative to make you afraid. Whereas so many different stories, like Lovecraft-wise, make fear a prime theme of the story. Yharnam is a whole town. It's in Britain. No! It's in Britain? Oh my god. Asmongold's basement? Oh my god.
For below, they found traces of godlike beings named the Great Ones.
Ooh.
The Great Ones could function.
Great Ones sounds a lot very Lovecraftian, right? The Lovecraftian, they're called the Outer Gods. The great old ones is a major idea in Lovecraftian mythos. The great old ones are the gods that Cthulhu himself are trying to summon. The great old ones. So Cthulhu is very famous for he's basically a priest trying to summon the great old ones into the world. Everyone thinks Cthulhu is like the epitome of scary fucking creatures, but it turns out the great old ones, they are way scarier than Cthulhu. Cthulhu is but a little baby boy compared. Azathoth, Nyarlathotep, Yog-Sothoth. These are the goats, the actual goats. And Lovecraft lore, it goes fucking crazy.
On transcendental planes of thought, meaning they had elevated their consciousness beyond the physical realm.
Okay, when I was told that Bloodborne was very similar to Lovecraft, I was very surprised. Simply because I didn't realize there was such a Lovecraft-inspired universe, but the more I see here, the more rooted in Lovecraft mythos it was than I thought. He's saying that they exist on a plane of thought, in a different plane than reality. In Lovecraft mythos. All right, we're gonna have to break out the charts. Lovecraft mythos. All right, so this right here, this is what the Lovecraft universe looks like. Okay, I know it doesn't look like much, but this is what it looks like. It is a void in the center, surrounded by a gate, multiple multiverse. This yellow thing is the multiverse, the red one is the dreamlands, and the purple one is the physical realm. This is where we live. Us humans live in the physical realm. Our subconscious is in the dreamlands. This is the multiverse. In the multiverse, there are millions, billions, infinite of these purple physical realms that have their own dreamlands. Then there's the gate that's keeping off the void. All these outer gods live in the void. They a completely different plane of reality than the actual physical realm or even the dreamlands. So this void is where they actually live right now. Cthulhu is a priest that does his job to try his best to summon the actual outer gods from the void into the physical realm, which would be the end of, well, everything. So, so it's kind of wild to see that is super implemented into,
Benefits of operating on this plane are unclear.
I am becoming a god of lore. What can I say? I will consume all lore.
Perhaps it was in the name of immortality, or perhaps power, as even beyond, the Great Ones could interfere with beings and events in the waking world.
What's even crazier, speaking of interdimensional creatures, this is a 9-year-old video and Vati sounds exactly the same. If you look at my 9-year-old videos, I sound like a fucking loser. Okay, I don't need to prove that. But I will! Let me go to my oldest video. What's my oldest video? 8-year. Okay, this is an 8-year-old video. 8, not 9. And I sound like a loser.
Amongst the many epic anime that premiered in the spring of 2015, one anime stood
It hurts!
head and shoulders above the rest in popularity.
I sounded awful. But anyway, Vati sounds exactly the same.
Whatever the case, it is clear that some sort of ascension took place, as there are numerous references to some Great Ones being left behind. Of all the strange life forms that reside in the nooks and crannies of the old labyrinth, the slugs are clear signs of the left-behind Great Ones. One such...
Okay, so basically the creatures that you fight in Bloodborne are all left-behind versions of the Great Ones, or they are different mythos, if we're going to use the parallel to Lovecraft, that the Lovecraft mythos, that some of the creatures, the little nooks and crannies that fucking show up in the actual corporeal world, you know, the little mythological creatures and horrors that actually show up that aren't necessarily the old ones themselves.
Great One appears to be abandoned Abrietas, a left-behind being who apparently did not ascend with her brethren. One day, Abrietas would be discovered by the humans above.
Wait, Abrietas is an outer god of some sort?
In a crusade that begins with a character named Willem. Master Willem presided over a prestigious place of learning.
Bro, this really is England. What the fuck, Master Willem? Master Willem, could you please give me some eyes? What is with FromSoft games and people without eyes?
Byrgenwerth, situated by a tranquil lake and secluded within a gigantic forest, Byrgenwerth housed the mines that would change.
Byrgenwerth! Oh my god, dude, the names of these places. This really is England. That's why everyone has knives.
The world. In fact, everything sacred in Yharnam came to be traced back to Byrgenwerth, including the most influential characters within our story. Bloodborne's lore is very character-driven, and there are 5 who I'm going to help you become familiar with. There was Master Willem, runesmith Caryll, Laurence, Mikolash, and Gehrman.
Which is the puppet one with all the Rule 34. Not that I've ever seen any of it, but from everyone that I know that plays Bloodborne, there's this one puppet lady that fucking everyone goes crazy about.
I'll introduce them to you in the order that they become relevant in the story. As I said, Master Willem was the head of the school at Byrgenwerth. The man was obsessed with the truth and believed in pushing the limits of humanity. In almost every dialogue and description...
Based. Truth is based. Pushing limits of humanity, also based. That's what we do here. God, limits are for non-human scum.
Willem is referred to as Master or Provost, clearly deserving of a great deal of respect. Many would eventually diverge from his tutorage, but few can say that they didn't owe everything to his research. For while Willem presided over Byrgenwerth, the scholars there discovered terrific things in the tombs below the city of Yharnam.
So, the city of Yharnam seems to be the main place here in Bloodborne, and the idea is you go down in these tombs to follow the quests of this Byrgenwerth guy, of this Willem guy, to come onto some sort of greater truth and some sort of greater entity that exists in this world.
Once, a group of young Byrgenwerth scholars discovered a holy medium deep within the tomb.
All right.
This led to the founding of the Healing Church and the establishment of blood healing.
It's hard to be sure exactly what was found, but we do know it was related to the Great Ones. On the ground floor of Byrgenwerth College, we find the pearl slugs, remnants of the Great Ones, and at the
So really all you're trying to do is figure out the truth and impact that these Great Ones actually have on reality. It seems a lot more mystery driven than games like Dark Souls and Elden Ring. Dark Souls and Elden Ring, the bosses are some sort of political corrupt force or whatever. And it really kind of seems like this is all about trying on some sort of quest for truth to figure out the reality of the world we inhabit and worlds that may surround us.
very top of the college,
This is not the FromSoft I'm used to. I've never played Bloodborne. I love Elden Ring and Dark Souls, but...
we find the empty phantasm shell, an empty invertebrate shell that is said to be the familiar of a Great One. After this discovery, whatever it was that showed them that the Great
Wait,
One...
so what are these creatures? Are these creatures actual mythological invaders from other worlds, or is this just what the English sewers look like? Average British sewer with rats the size of fucking mongoose.
existed, the Byrgenwerth scholars launched an inquiry into the Great Ones and the Old Blood. For from this point onwards, there is an explosion of lore and history and references to what the scholars found in the tombs below Yharnam. Many of these references come from runesmith Caryll.
God, I love those fucking messages on the ground in every Dark Souls game. Finger, but hole, then edge.
Second character of our story. Caryll transcribed the inhuman utterings of the Great Ones into what we now call Caryll runes.
So she's like some sort of oracle of sorts, like an oracle that interprets the words of these outer gods into the Dude, this is a really cool world building. Oh my god, I love Lovecraft, I love Elden Ring. God, how did I not get on this sooner?
In true Lovecraftian fashion, it is really likely that it's impossible for humans
Bro pissed his guts out. Oh, frick.
to comprehend
Dude, you know they have tampons for exactly this situation.
the speech of the Great Ones, but Caryll apparently had a knack, a talent for creating a visual representation of the Great One's words.
Okay, some sort of oracle, or in Lovecraftian terms, a dreamer, right? The dreamers are the people that are able to live inside the dreamscape. So the dreamscape is a place that, as I've mentioned, it's where the subconscious lives, but the dreamers are able to actually access the dreamscape consciously, which makes them very powerful and shit. So seemingly, she's, you know, a reference to the dreamers in Lovecraftian mythos.
The hunter who receives this workshop tool can etch Caryll runes into their mind to attain their wondrous strength.
Into their mind?
Provost Willem would have been proud of Caryll's runes, as they do not rely upon blood in any measure. This statement is curious. It tells us three things. First, Provost Willem and Caryll were close, as Willem would have been proud of him. And second, Willem didn't have a chance to be proud, so it's possible that the two lost contact. And thirdly, and most importantly,
a different power source. You can edge into your mind! Psychic tattoos?
Willem would have been proud because the runes did not rely on blood. In other words,
so it seems like there's two conflicting power systems. The runes, as well as blood, are two completely separate existing power systems inside this world. That's really interesting, because most stories or mythos very, very heavily focus on a single power system. You know, Nen and Hunter x Hunter, or even what the dreamers are in Lovecraftian mythos. It's all about elevating your consciousness. So it's really interesting to see multiple converging power systems, the runes as well as blood.
Willem did not approve the use of the old blood, the blood found in the Tomb of the Gods. The Metamorphosis runes.
So another interesting concept when it comes to blood in Lovecraftian mythos, as you know, I will absorb all lore, so we have to do it this way. We have to overanalyze everything we watch. That's what we're here for. Subscribe for more overanalyzing lore. In Lovecraftian mythos, what Cthulhu actually did, and how it was summoned into our physical world, is the outer gods use blood as a vessel to summon themselves. So that's why the priests of Cthulhu was ultimately some sort of, their job was human sacrifices. And they would get all sorts of human sacrifice to basically get enough blood to summon an outer god to take physical form in the corporeal world. That is what the goal of Cthulhu was. That's how you summon the Great Ones. You use blood as some sort of avatar to summon a Great One from the void. So it's really interesting that they use the blood of these old ones as their power system, where blood is super relevant in actual basic Lovecraftian mythos. right? It's the medium of contacting them somehow. In the Call of Cthulhu, Cthulhu gets rammed by a boat and dies. Which is kind of lame for Cthulhu, I guess. But the idea is the boat rammed into Cthulhu and tons of blood spurted out of its head. And that blood that spurted out, seemingly, it lost the blood that helped it maintain corporeality in the physical world. And that's why it ended up getting sent back, yoinked back to the void. Not because it was actually defeated, but because it lost its medium to stay present. I don't know, it's an interesting concept for a power system, and I do like the way it's seemingly put all together. It's like the old ones are literally blood-borne into this world. So, I don't know, I just think it's very, very interesting. Blood was the avatar, dude. Blood out here really thinking he's the avatar.
States, the discovery of blood made their dream of evolution a reality.
They discovered blood. I can't stop seeing blood spelled B-L-U-D right now. Bro, they got blood over here thinking you can fight a god.
Metamorphosis and the excesses and deviation.
Is he killing Willem?
And that followed.
No!
Willem believed in a different.
Oh my god, he killed Willem, bro. Wait, is that I kill all NPCs in Souls games. It's just my thing. I literally am out there to kill NPCs. That's my job.
Path. He believed in attaining more insight.
Wait a second, you kill a guy without eyeballs, and then after you kill him, you get eye. Explain this, lore masters.
For humanity's eyes had yet to open. The Eye Rune states that Master Willem looked to beings from higher planes for guidance, and sought to line his brain with eyes in order to elevate his thoughts.
He lined his brains with eyes to elevate his thoughts. Again, it really does follow into the paths of, becoming a dreamer.
And with these descriptions, you should have some idea
I know it's an eye rune, not a physical eye. I was making a joke. I'm out, Jet.
of the scale of ambition of these characters. With the discovery of beings greater than them came a desire to ascend into godhood, to
Oh my god, I also want to ascend into godhood. We are literally the same.
push humanity into its next stage of evolution. The only question was how? Blood or insight? And this was a question.
Blood or incest? Dude, this is the Targaryen question. This is the ultimate fucking George R.R. Martin questionnaire right there. How will you do it? Through blood or through incest?
Question that split the ranks of the Byrgenwerth scholars. It's how we arrived at the cutscene we started at earlier, with Master Willem and Laurence parting ways.
Master Willem, I've come to bid you farewell.
Master Willem, I have come.
Oh, I know.
What?
You think now to betray me.
From this cutscene, we can infer that Laurence was a high-ranking student of Master Willem, because firstly, Laurence refers to Willem as Master,
Yep.
and secondly, Willem clearly regards Laurence highly enough to call this departure a betrayal.
God damn. Master Willem, I have come.
No, but you will never listen.
Laurence disagrees. He does not see it as betrayal, and here we come to the heart of what their disagreement is about.
Alright,
Essentially, it boils down to the difference between the two resources in the game. Willem believes man requires insight and knowledge to ascend. Laurence believes in the
Blood.
power of blood.
I told you! Two conflicting, converging power systems. Blood and insight. Blood, again, if we're looking at this through the referential treatment I've been giving it in regards to Lovecraftian mythos, blood summons outer gods into the corporeal world, and insight elevates your consciousness to the level of dreamer. Both help you attain power, but one is by bringing a higher being down, and by one is bringing a lower being up. That's the difference between insight and blood in regards to how I think it's attributing them. Blood out here really summoning gods!
Laurence attempts to reassure Willem, telling him he will always fear the old blood, but that this fear will not stop him using it.
I tell you, I will not forget our adage.
We are born of the blood, made men by the blood,
Yes.
undone by the blood.
Blood for the blood god! Skulls for the skull throne! Milk for the cornflakes!
Our eyes are yet to open.
Bro, every time he says that, it's like, eyes I had to open. It's like you wondered. I assume that means some sort of ascension. That's the way I'm understanding it right now. Again, Blood has no right to have as much insight as I have over here. I'm just saying. It's from all the lore consumption that I do. I will consume all lore. My Little Pony lore, it's on the list.
Fear the old blood.
Damn.
I must take my leave.
That's rebel.
Laurence leaves the Byrgenwerth scholars, presumably with a small group of rebels, and goes on to found the Healing Church. Willem remains at Byrgenwerth and attempts to elevate his thoughts to a higher plane. He will return to our story at a later time. So
oh shit, I thought you killed him. You killed him, but he didn't die because he ascended to some sort of higher plane?
While I tell you of what Laurence went on to do, imagine Willem here in Byrgenwerth, sitting in his rocking chair over the lake, musing on how to acquire insight and elevate his thoughts to a higher plane. Everything Laurence would come to achieve was...
Dude, I fucking love that idea. The idea that we're really mirroring Lovecraftian mythos to such an insane degree. I thought this would be vaguely based on Lovecraft. I didn't think it would be this much of a one-to-one comparison.
Was based on the knowledge he had come by in Byrgenwerth. In retrospect, we clearly see why Willem saw Laurence's departure as a betrayal. Perhaps Willem
because Laurence went for an entire different path.
Himself even planted these ideas in Laurence's mind. A note in the lecture hall reads, Master Willem.
I have to say, Laurence, this is heresy! This is heresy! I will purge the heretics! God!
Willem was right. Evolution without courage will be the ruin of our race.
That's it, baby. Evolution without courage. You know what that is? That's instead of working on yourself and elevating your consciousness to higher plane, evolution without courage is using blood rituals to summon fucking evil gods into your existence. That evolution without courage. It's like, well, now we have a Cthulhu. However, goodbye, our race. That man's a heretic, ladies and gentlemen.
Laurence had courage. But it is likely
I'm gonna need a heavy flamer for this heresy.
That his courage bordered on arrogance. The Byrgenwerth student uniform states, the Healing Church has its roots in Byrgenwerth and naturally borrows heavily from its uniform design. The focus not on knowledge or thought, but on pure pretension would surely bring Master Willem to despair if only he knew. So Laurence threw caution to the wind and...
Pure pretension. That's the idea of summoning a god. Dude, you have no idea what this god's gonna fucking do if you bring him into this world. Bro, you're just gonna bring a god into the world. You think it's gonna be, like, friendly? Doesn't give a shit about you. That's pretension. I'd fuck a great old one. See, chat, this is why we keep you around.
Put his faith in the old blood. Think on human history. Imagine if, in any era, a church was founded that had access to a substance that could cure any illness.
Well...
Imagine if this church gave it freely to a city, how powerful that city would become, and how powerful the church would become within it. This is exactly what happened in Yharnam. People came far and wide.
No way. No way. Ain't no way. Part of Lovecraft's lore is a corrupt church taking control of their people? That is so dope! Bro! A corrupt church controlling a people with power and fear? Say it ain't so. Don't tell Dracula from Castlevania.
To be treated with the miraculous blood of the gods, and the people of Yharnam
This is just Lovecraft meets Castlevania and makes the craziest fucking story of all time.
put their faith in the Healing Church. In fact, what happened in Yharnam is eerily similar to what happened in the tombs deep below, where the blood was originally found. And as you know, many Chalice dungeons, especially those of Loran, are...
Okay, I have to do this. I was debating in my mind whether I wanted to do this or not, but I have unfortunately decided. I've taken the executive decision to do it. So I've been beefing a little bit with this guy, Tech Lead. Tech Lead is fucking crazy. He's nuts. He's insane. And he copyright strikes people all the time. However, I stumbled upon this deleted video of his. Well, I think it's a YouTube deleted this video of his. I only found the re-upload on Rumble. This is some of the craziest shit in the universe.
Jewish religion, and it is typically that I feel I can't trust any religious person.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Tech Lead's take on the entire Bloodborne situation, all right? I'm sorry. I had to do that. This is Tech Lead's take on Bloodborne.
view my perspective on this as just a normal, uneducated tech bro on this with a passing interest in Jewish religion, and it is typically that I feel I can't trust any religious person.
This is literally what Lord Willem has been saying this entire time. Oh my god, that's crazy, that's crazy. He's fucking crazy. This tech lead guy's a complete fucking nutcase. Anyway, I just felt like that was a funny meme. I had to do it.
Are now overrun by horrific beasts.
I'm just saying, YouTube drama, it counts as lore. It counts as lore, guys, okay? I will consume all lore, whether it's lore of impotent little pathetic bitches like Tech Lead, or it's lore of Bloodborne. Subscribe for all of lore.
The Lower Loran Chalice states, there are trace remains of medical procedures in parts of ailing Loran. Whether these were attempts to control the scourge of the beasts or the cause of the outbreak is unknown. The ailing Loran Chalice states, the tragedy that struck this ailing land of Loran is said to have its root in the scourge of the beast. Some have made the dreaded extrapolation that Yharnam may be next.
Oh,
Yharnam
shit.
was next.
Well, to be honest, by uniting everyone under this corrupt church, they kind of set everyone up to become blood sacrifices for outer gods. Like, I do kind of get why the corruption destroyed this city.
Through overuse of the healing blood, the city would eventually succumb to the scourge of the beast.
I did not think that my dad would be fucking in this game at all. But goddamn, Asmongold, is that you? Asmongold, you should have brushed your teeth! This is what we've been telling you all along, Asmongold! No! What have they done to you? What have they done to you? You're almost as bald as...
Until then, though, Laurence and the Healing Church managed to grow in power with the miraculous healing properties of their special, yet infected, blood. Yharnam grows to become a city of worship and fear. As you explore throughout the city, you see the influence of the church everywhere, with Yharnam's resources.
A city of worship and fear. Well, we have to know what Tech Lead has to say about this.
On this as just a normal, uneducated tech bro on this with a passing interest in Jewish religion, and it is typically that I feel I can't trust any religious person.
All right, well, Tech Lead, thank you so much for your insight. Anyway, let's see how we deal with this in Bloodborne.
Laurence clearly had the power to grow the church beyond what would have been possible at Byrgenwerth. All the while, he continued exploring the labyrinth below Yharnam. The Tomb Prospector set reads, attire of the Tomb Prospectors who explore the old labyrinth on behalf of the Healing Church. The Healing Church traces its roots to Byrgenwerth and is therefore aware of the ruins' true importance. These ruins contain much more than hunter trinkets. Indeed, they hide the very secrets of the old Great Ones, sought after by those with the insight to imagine greatness.
Damn, it's so interesting to see the crossing of the paths between insight and ascension and summoning the Great Ones. Like, there is obviously an overlap here. Because, like, in Cthulhu mythos, Yog-Sothoth, one of the Great Old Ones, dude, I don't want to have to bring up the fucking diagram for this one again, but I have no choice. I have no choice but to bring up the diagram once again. So, to pull up the diagram once again. So, again, this is the world, right? Physical realm, dreamland, subconscious, as well as the dreamers that have ascended. Here are the multiple parallel universes, you know, everything else. Here is the infinite gate that is keeping the outer gods in the void from living in the void. Now, the reason why I am mentioning this is because Yog-Sothoth, one of the Great Old Ones, is in fact the infinite gate. Now, I know you're thinking, that's weird. I thought you said all the outer gods are in the void. Yog-Sothoth, you're saying, is now is the infinite gate. That is simply because Yog-Sothoth is the strongest of the Great Old Ones. Yog-Sothoth is not just a Great Old One in the void, but also the infinite gate, and also everything else. Yog-Sothoth is all of reality, and it also has some sort of conscious mind. Let me show you a picture of Yog-Sothoth, pretty little boy. That's him. That's him. We can't actually get some sort of picture of him because he is all of reality. He is an ultimate being. Stop saying wood in chat. Stop saying wood. Okay, but the point is, it's what's very intriguing here is what he's saying that. Hang on, let me show you.
Great Ones, Byrgenwerth, and is therefore aware of the ruins' true importance. These ruins contain much more than hunter trinkets. Indeed, they hide the very secrets of the old Great Ones, sought after by those with the insight to imagine greatness. On top of
sought after by the ones that imagine greatness. They're saying that their ascension of power by imagining, right, bringing them to the lands of the dream worlds, is very similar to bringing a great old one into the actual world with blood rituals. The overlap here, in my very, very basic understanding, seems to be Yog-Sothoth, a creature that exists on multiple planes. It is you that is trying to ascend, and it is also every other elder god that is trying to descend. So by tapping into this power, everything is very, very connected. Is this Bloodborne lore? Yes, it is!
Of this, Laurence split the church into multiple branches, each with a different purpose.
Okay.
There was the choir, the school of mensis, and the workshop. We'll get to these branches as they become appropriate, but the main purpose of the church, at least to the people of Yharnam, was the administration of blood healing.
So the church got power because they introduced their blood healing. Obviously, blood healing it's not science, right? It's obviously some sort of ritual. The idea that through this blood healing, they are calling down the power of some great old one to heal people. That's why everyone became enraptured with the church, but it is also what's making people followers to these great old ones.
Within the grand cathedral itself lies a note that says, "Heir to the ritual of blood, purveyor of ministration, place your hand upon the altar's sacred covering and inscribe Master Laurence's adage upon your flesh." Blood ministers would have been those who administered the blood healing. How else would the people of Yharnam be so obsessed with blood? In Yharnam, they produced more blood than alcohol.
Oh my god! Think about how crazy it is. It references bloodletting. I see that. So bloodletting, for those of you unaware, was an ancient practice where people used to believe that their bodies contained too much blood. So bloodletting was a process that people would undergo in order to get rid of excess blood from the body. Let me see, what did they say? Bloodletting is removal of blood from a body with the intent and means of process to manage diseases and health conditions. And they say that bloodletting actually cures you of various diseases, because these diseases would happen because you have too much blood in your body. Bloodletting was incredibly, incredibly popular in medieval England. So they would let blood out. So this could be a reference to the idea of bloodletting that happened in England, but also similarly, and for some reason it never seemed to work. True! Wow, that's crazy! But so they wouldn't kill themselves. They would just release a certain amount of blood, and they would do that for multiple times. It was like a once a month type thing. Once a month, people would go in, they would bloodlet a little bit, they keep going. It would help the women look more pale, and it would help, and they would claim that it would get rid of diseases and shit, and all that garbage. But anyway, so this could be a reference to the medieval bloodletting practices that happened in England, while simultaneously being a way to introduce the idea of blood magic into this world, where they would use these blood cures to cure people, and they would keep producing blood. But you know what happens when you produce enough blood? You could summon the great old ones. It feels like it's leading up to some sort of plot where everyone thinks that the blood is just for healing, but ultimately when enough blood gets pooled and spilled, it will help great old ones make an actual impact in the world of Bloodborne. That's kind of what seems to be going on here from a Lovecraftian perspective. God, there's so much fucking detail here. Like, I love this.
As the former is more intoxicating. However, the ministration of blood...
Intoxicating? Wait, they would get addicted to blood? Oh my god, why is blood yapping so much?
...was likely a means to an end, for the healing church still intended to commune with the great ones.
That's it. All this blood healing shit, it was all a trick. It was all a flim-flam. Get healed, they would keep bloodletting, they would keep getting blood from different blood shit, consuming lots of it. However, it was all a way for the church to communicate with the great old ones through blood sacrifice.
In hopes of ascending humanity to a higher plane, this task was given to the choir, a group who were a part of the healing church. Members of the choir are both the highest ranking clerics of the healing church and scholars who continued the work that began at Byrgenwerth. The eye covering indicates their debt to the teachings of Master Willem, even though their paths diverged.
Right, they still respect Master Willem, except they feel like Master Willem, it's like, enough of you, old fool! You think that humanity can only ascend through higher trains of thought and consciousness? You fool! We have found a shortcut! It's called blood summoning gods! You fool!
The choir, garbed in black and white, with the familiar eye covering, occupied the upper cathedral ward. It seems to have been their job to research and make contact with the Great Ones.
Master Willem, you said we shouldn't do this. Okay, boomer!
The Great Chalice became the cornerstone of the choir, the elite delegation of the healing church. It was also the first great chalice brought back to the surface since the time of Byrgenwerth and allowed the choir to have audience with Abrietas. Abrietas was the left-behind Great One, who came to reside below the Grand Cathedral. We are told that the
so that's how they communicate with the current Great Old One that is in the physical realm.
Grand Cathedral is the birthplace of the Healing Church's special blood, and if the Church were indeed using the blood of the Great Ones, then who's to say it wasn't Abrietas' blood?
So I'm a little confused. What is your purpose in this story? What's the main character doing? Because like in Elden Ring, the world is corrupt, you're trying to become the new Elden Lord. But in this story, what are you, just guy working for Master Willem, trying to clean up the messes made by wayward students that are trying to summon gods?
The Augur of Abrietas is one of the secret rites of the choir, used by the high-ranking members of the Healing Church. Use phantasms, the invertebrates.
Your job is to kill a god. Okay, cool. You were originally a guy looking for healing from the church, and they're like, okay, we healed you, now go kill God.
It's known to be augurs of the Great Ones, to partially summon abandoned Abrietas. One of the few
God, Abrietas, daughter of the cosmos. Holy shit.
rites that allow one to directly utilize the power of the Great Ones and evidence that the choir had approached the eldritch truth. The Augur of Abrietas.
Dude, it's so wild to see how boss design evolved.
And evidence.
Like, look at the way he fights this boss.
One of the few rites that allow one
to you dash past
directly
him,
utilize
you
the
stay
power
behind him, you smack his tail,
of the Great Ones,
right? And then he
and evidence
turns to you, but you could keep running around him.
Truth.
You see, FromSoft boss design changed so much, this guy would have a backwards attack. Every single boss in Elden Ring has some sort of attack where they hit you from behind. They either kick you from behind, or they smack you with their tail, or some shit.
The Augur of Abrietas is an arcane method of fighting that was actually...
This man just summoned tentacles out of a portal!
The eldritch truth.
Look at this shit.
The Augur of Abrietas is an arcane method of...
Bro, get this man his own hentai ASAP!
Fighting that was actually shared with the second subsection of the Healing Church, the School of Mensis. The upper echelons of the Healing Church are formed by
Dude, they're so freaky, these fucking head guys.
The School of Mensis, based...
Bro, they all have that... What's his name, Mikolash? Listen, I'm doing this for research purposes. I don't want to do it, but I feel like no one else will do it. So we have to see what the Mikolash Rule 34 looks like. Mikolash, host of the Nightmare. He has 26 entries on Rule 34.
I was asked to cut this part out, because Nux is too chicken to admit to what he found.
In the unseen village. This brings us to our next important character, Mikolash, who was likely the head of the School of Mensis. The School of Mensis was, as the name implies, a place of learning, research, and experimentation for the Healing Church.
Yeah.
Their student set reads, "The Healing Church has its roots in Byrgenwerth, and naturally borrows heavily from its uniform design."
Wait, so what does the "you died" thing have to do in Bloodborne? Because in Bloodborne, in Elden Ring, for example, every time you die, you're tarnished, you escape death, you come back to life all the time. What's the lore between dying and coming back to life constantly in Bloodborne? Because I know they have meta explanations for this stuff in FromSoft games. Like in Dark Souls, you keep coming back to life, and so does everybody else. That's part of it, right? You come back as an undead. So you return to the hunter's dream. Dreams? Wait, this all takes place in the mind? Bro! You return to the dream. Okay, I see it. I see it. That makes sense. That makes sense. Oh my god, I see it. They're in a dreamland because they're dreamers! Bro, it fits so fucking well with the fucking lore. A human cannot possibly fight a Lovecraftian old one. The only people that are strong enough to fight them are the people that are dreamers that exist in the dreamland. This whole thing takes place in the dreamland. Remember the diagram I showed you? The second stage of the diagram's the dreamland. Okay, that's fucking awesome. That's fucking awesome. Oh, holy shit. I am locked in right now. God damn.
The school was based below Yharnam, in a place called Yahrgul, the unseen village.
Nice.
Clearly, the work of Mensis was intended to be
People have knives in England even in your dreams. Holy shit.
kept a secret from the people of Yharnam. In fact, as time went on, the school increasingly seems to have been working alone, even separately from the Healing Church itself. The Yahrgul attire tells us, "The hunters of Yahrgul answer to the village's founders, the School of Mensis. Hunters in name only, these kidnappers blend into the night wearing this attire." These were not true hunters. That title was saved for the third subsection of the Healing Church, the Hunters of the Workshop. These capable warriors of the church appeared as the scourge of the beast began to show in Yharnam. The workshop hunters served under Gehrman, the first hunter, who you're all familiar with.
Well, I'm not, but okay.
The hunter attire reads, one of the standard articles of hunter attire fashioned at the workshop, a fine piece of hunter attire that provides stable defense to anyone facing Yharnam's beastly threat, allows one to stalk beasts unannounced by cover of night. It's possible the unannounced part of that sentence is to do
I'll be honest, I'm a little lost.
with killing beasts without them noticing you, but it could also be because the workshop was a secret institution. The original workshop...
Right, unannounced because their work in the workshop is unannounced. Very interesting. This whole idea of living in a dream state.
The hunters of the workshop. These capable warriors of the church...
So you are just a hunter of the workshop. You are one of the hunters in this workshop.
...allows one to stalk beasts unannounced by cover of night. It's possible the unannounced part of that sentence is to do with killing beasts without them noticing you, but it could also be because the workshop was a secret institution. The original workshop is located...
So you are the fucking vampire hunters of the Dreamlands. God, it's such a cool fucking setting. What the fuck? I feel like a little kid in a candy shop. That is such a cool setting. Holy shit.
Located in a very hard to find part of Cathedral Ward, and think about it, you don't want the townsfolk believing that the blood is turning them into beasts. When that information is floating around, you want to avoid panic at all costs. So the hunters hunted beasts under the cover of night, but the hunters and the beastly scourge couldn't stay a secret forever.
Yeah, well, you don't want everyone... It's so weird that you have so many people living here. Like, there are people that actually live in this world.
In what would come to be called Old Yharnam, a new disease appeared. It was called Ashen blood. I call it a disease, but the small medicinal tablets used to treat it actually counteract poison. A tablet used to treat Ashen blood, the baffling sickness that ravaged Old Yharnam long ago. These tablets only provide short-term relief. The Ashen blood ailment eventually triggered the spread of the beastly scourge.
Holy shit. So people of different blood, their blood is not necessarily used as well. Used to treat the Ashen blood, the baffling sickness that ravaged Old Gehrman years ago. These tablets provide short-term relief. The Ashen blood ailment triggered the spread of the beastly. It's a different type of blood that works and operates differently with these outer gods.
Think about that. We know that the old blood heals every illness. We know that the old blood causes the beastly scourge. And we now know that the Ashen blood caused the beastly scourge to spread.
So somehow, this Ashen blood is very related to the old blood.
In short, it seems like people were infected with the Ashen blood, and the medicine that they had only provided short-term relief, and they were forced to imbibe the old blood instead.
It really seems that way. It seems like it's some sort of really fucked up plot where people are infected in some way, and the cure only basically tees them up to become fatter, plumper sacrifices for these outer gods. That's really spooky.
It's even possible that the healing church used this Ashen blood to gain power, swooping in with this miracle cure and liberating the people from the Ashen blood disease. Since Ashen blood seems poisonous in nature, perhaps the church even poisoned the populace just for that excuse to use the old blood.
That's what I've been saying. It's all a plot. Every bit of it. The healing, the altruism, the wholesomeness. It was all a plot from day one where this church can basically use them all as sacrifices and beacons to summon the old ones. In the words of the very wise tech lead.
And it is typically that I feel I can't trust any religious person, basically, because they have an ulterior motive. So people will act in totally bizarre, unpredictable ways to me because they have some random doctrine that they've been brainwashed into thinking, right? Like some people are going to just randomly go sacrifice themselves for some cause.
Oh my god. Tech lead was right all along. You could never trust them ever. You guys fucking crazy. Except in that video he's talking about Jews. Which makes it just very different than, you know, insane blood sacrificing, human sacrificing church for the sake of summoning Cthulhu into, you know, different thing a little bit, but same idea, I would say. Same idea. Dude, it's crazy. The conspiracy is actually so real. I never thought we'd see like a whole ass conspiracy in a Souls game. This is wild.
Because that excuse to get the populace to believe in you, that would have been so powerful. But whatever the case...
It seems like the whole idea of this blood and the cure and the disease and all that, It was all made up by the church in order to get everyone to not only believe in the church, not only get addicted and high on this blood shit, but literally fatten up and plumpen them as sacrifices to these old gods that they're trying to either ascend to or bring down or whatever.
Beastly Scourge was triggered overwhelmingly in Old Yharnam, we know that much, to the point where they actually had to burn it down and cordon off Old Yharnam from the rest of the city.
Damn.
The red moon hangs low, and beasts rule the streets. Are we left no other choice than to burn it all to cinders?
And then they have oh god. And then after all of this, all of these people that are becoming beasts, these people that are infected by this blood shit that was done by the very church. Guess we have no choice but to burn it all down, baby. Oh my god, that is a fucked up conspiracy. This is actual Order 66 all over again. Let's cleanse these guys from their rotten, filthy blood.
With this, the hunt became known to all. Perhaps the church feared an uprising from the people of Yharnam, for a note in central Yharnam reads, "When the hunt began, the healing church left us, blocking the great bridge to Cathedral Ward as Old Yharnam burned to the ground that moonlit night."
Purge the heretics. End the filth! Cleanse them of their sins of their rotten blood. Bro, it's so fucked up. It's actually so fucked up. I feel like in every other Souls game, you're playing the proverbial space marine, the character that goes through shit to become a king, to fight, to all that. In this game, it really seems like you're playing some sort of inquisitor, some sort of detective, where you're really tracking down and unlocking the clues as to all the crazy conspiracies everyone's doing to either ascend to godhood or bring down old gods. Like, it really seems like it's a whole other perspective. Like, this is brilliant. Oh my god.
As a result, Gehrman's workshop was sealed and closed. With the Scourge of the Beast known to all, perhaps there was no need for secrecy anymore. The Saw Hunter badge comes to read, "Badge crafted long ago at the workshop, attests to one's prowess as a hunter of beasts. The workshop is gone, and no group recognizes this meaningless badge." At this point, the church retreats. They block themselves off in Upper Cathedral Ward and come up with a new strategy for dealing with the Scourge of the Beasts that is spreading throughout Yharnam. Eventually,
Dude, it's like the fucking disease was caused by these people. It's a disease made by man in order to manipulate your fellow man into sacrificing them for something that is not human. Your allegiance is to something else. You are praying to the wrong god.
the workshop hunters would disband, and the church founded the Church Hunter Workshop in its place.
Oh my god. These hunters were originally a seemingly separate group, and then eventually, because of the cleansing, the church ended up getting their hands on these people, and they became... Bro, you basically play this game as Father Anderson from Hellsing. Like...
Ludwig was the chief hunter of the Healing Church.
No, not Ludwig! Ludwig! Cheating at video games and commanding inquisitors to exterminatus England. Sounds about right.
Which consisted of hunters garbed in black and white. The Black Church
Seems pretty racist.
Hunter attire reads, "Most Healing Church hunters are elementary doctors who understand the importance of early prevention of the scourge,
He is but a simple doctor with a broadsword!"
achieved by disposing of victims, even potential victims, before signs of sickness manifest themselves. Their black attire is synonymous with fear and that peculiar yharnam madness. The Black Church hunter's job was clear. Remove any sign of the Scourge of the Beast, even if...
Dude, that is so cool. I've never played this game, but now I have to.
Their black
Look at him.
attire is
He has a little
synonymous with
sword,
fear
right?
and that peculiar yharnam
Thin sword, he puts it
madness.
in, and then he turns it into a broadsword? You can that's so sick! He cures heresy with holy fire. Yes! Yes! Can you stop using the flamer? Excuse me, this is a heavy flamer.
The Black Church hunter's job was clear. Remove any sign of the Scourge of the Beast, even if it hasn't manifested itself yet. The fear that it inspired in the citizens shows. Most in Upper Cathedral Ward are deathly afraid of the church.
Damn, well, understandable. The church literally caused this whole shit to break down. Every weapon has 2 modes in Bloodborne. Oh, that's so fucking cool. That's so sick.
White church hunters' jobs were a bit different. These doctors are superiors to the black preventative hunters and specialists in experimentally backed blood ministration and the Scourge of the Beast.
Bloodletting? More like, I'd let blood.
They believe that medicine is not a means of treatment, but rather a method of research, and that some knowledge can only be attained by exposing oneself to sickness.
Dude, the dog can sniff you? That's so
Their
sick.
experimentation might explain the monstrously large church giants who would have been particularly
Church giants, you know, total coincidence, definitely not genetic mutation done by the church. Definitely none of that. Not the church, you know, simply using blood to somehow bring some sort of elder god entity inside of you to corrupt your mind and body. Probably just a coincidence, you know.
really useful in the fight against the beasts. Ludwig's greatsword exhibits several departures from the workshop's design, suggesting that the church anticipated much larger, inhuman beasts. On top of this, Ludwig took a much more overt approach to beast hunting. Nightly, he would embark upon central Yharnam across the Great Bridge to fight back against the beasts.
Yeah.
But he was not alone. The population of central Yharnam joined the hunt as well, swelling
yeah.
the ranks of the hunters. Ludwig, the first hunter.
Yo, that's so crazy. It's so you are this guy, and you have the random townsfolk that hated the oppression behind you, hunting down monsters with like this whole entourage. That's fucking awesome.
Hunter of the Healing Church once recruited Yharnamites to serve as hunters. This hunter's attire was made for new recruits and has excellent straightforward defense, but not nearly enough to allow an ordinary man to stand any real chance against the beasts. It sounds like a very clever move, as it probably stopped the populace blaming the church and likely formed more of a us versus them mentality.
God, I love us versus them mentalities. Absolutely. We are the Imperium of mankind, and they are anything that's not us. We wipe them out. We slap those heretics down, baby. Do you hear that? Do you hear that in the background? That's the screaming of a heretic after I equip my heavy flamer. Yeah, cook 'em, boys. I love how this is all some weird indoctrination by the church became a whole massive plot in Bloodborne. The idea that that these people are only basically included in this fight in order to show them that the church is on their side, not actually because you need their help, is like political fuckery of the highest order.
Meanwhile, in Byrgenwerth, Master Willem had an epiphany. We are thinking on the basest of planes. What we need are more eyes.
This is a jar of eyeballs! He had an epiphany. We need more eyes. And then he became Shabriri from Elden Ring. Ladies and gentlemen, character development.
Willem took this very literally. The remaining students of Byrgenwerth appear to have been transformed into multi-eyed, fly-like creatures, and more importantly, Willem transformed into
What was this? Is this Citizens of Byrgenwerth?
very literally. The remaining students of Byrgenwerth appear to have been transformed into multi-eyed, fly-like creatures.
Bro, these were the students, these creatures robbed of their humanity, becoming these incestuous eyeball creatures. Oh my god, this is fucked up.
And more importantly, Willem himself found an umbilical cord of a Great One, which was a very significant and powerful artifact.
Oh, he found an umbilical cord. An umbilical cord of a Great One? Where do you find that? Oh my god.
Provost Willem sought the cord in order to elevate his being and thoughts to those of a Great One by lining his brain with eyes.
Every part of that sentence, fucked up. Like, honestly, what? He wanted to ascend to become a Great One by using the umbilical cord of a god and also engraving his head with eyes. This is a real sentence.
The only choice he knew, if man were ever to match their greatness. Used to gain insight, and, so they say, eyes on the inside, although no one remembers what that truly entails. It's difficult to know exactly
Scary to think these are the former students of Byrgenwerth.
how Willem came across.
Like the way they mutate into monsters. Somehow it's almost like letting their consciousness touch the consciousness of these gods just fucking warps them. Their mind cannot handle the intrusion of an outer god.
Or created an umbilical cord. So we'll have to go into that in
Look at this guy! What the fuck?
video.
That guy's mega ugly.
Just know that he has one for now.
Yeah, alright, he has an umbilical cord of a god. Cool.
When we encounter Willem, he directs us to the Great Lake. The power of great bodies of water is actually referenced in a few runes. Great volumes of water serve as a bulwark guarding sleep, and an augur of the eldritch truth.
Right, so, obviously this is all taking place in some sort of dream world, so that's pretty awesome. The idea that, the waters represents sleep in some way. I wonder if that's a reference to the fact that Ryla, the legendary temple that was supposed to summon the outer gods, was sunk into the ocean. I wonder if that's a reference.
Overcome this hindrance and seek what is yours. The lake and what lies within it hides the truth. Rom, the byrgenwerth spider, lies within, and there's a lot we don't know about her.
I hate spiders.
But I'll tell you what we do know.
I do know that that is one big ball of heresy. Nothing a heavy flamer can't handle, brother.
The byrgenwerth spider hides all manner of rituals and keeps our lost master from us. A terrible shame. The spider is certain to reveal nothing, for true enlightenment need not be shared. I believe this is what the vacuous part of Rom's name refers to. This creature is somehow hiding.
No, I know that this, okay, when I say that it's a dream, I don't mean that, oh, this isn't real. I mean they have ascended to a higher plane of existence. It's an existence of dreamers. That is not what I said at all. Listen, I don't want to keep bringing up the, I really need to keep this page open instead of looking for it every time. But in the Lovecraftian mythos, world building, this physical realm where we are, this dreamlands is a collective subconscious where people aren't conscious, except for certain people that have ascended to a level of dreamer. It gives them great power and gives them conscious understanding in the dreamlands, which is a higher plane of existence. This seems like the world of Bloodborne takes place in the dreamlands, which is why they can't really die, you know? At least not for good.
The true nature of the world, and when you defeat it, you don't need insight to see the world for what it truly is. The night moves.
That's right. In this occupation, you don't need insight. You need your brothers and a heavy flamer. You need a bolter that shoots torpedoes. You need to rain upon them, bane of the heretic.
Forward. The blood moon descends, and after killing Rom, we are finally granted access to what remains of Yahar'gul, home of Mikolash and his school of mensis.
Okay.
The school of mensis appears to have grown apart from the healing church and the choir. There is little information on Mikolash and his school, but we can prove that there was a split. Firstly, Mikolash uses the auger of Abrietas, a secret rite of the choir shared among...
Do they all... Is Mikolash just ever... How many times do you have to fight this guy in the game? Like, how many times do you have to fight Mikolash through this story? Like 12?
The high-ranking members of the healing church. This suggests he was trusted with this information and was once a sane member of the church. To prove that there was a split between the healing church's choir and the school, we note clear signs of distrust and fighting between the groups. Imprisoned inside Yahar'gul is the corpse of a member of the choir. And inside the nightmare of Mensis, we find who the official guide calls Edgar, choir intelligence. Clearly, the choir was suspicious of what was going on in Yahar'gul with the school of Mensis, and based on what we find there in Yahar'gul, it seems the choir had good reason to be. The school of Mensis were...
So basically, they were all originally united, the church, the school of Mensis, and Yahar'gul, and the choir, and through each of their ways to, I guess, commune with these elder deities, they ended up starting to mistrust each other. They each ended up tapping into some sort of otherworldly power in one way or another.
Attempting to commune with the Great Ones, and they succeeded. As Willem did, they found an umbilical cord. We find...
Bro! You had so many body parts to choose from. They both found separate umbilical cords? I wonder... Umbilical cord. Lovecraft. I wonder if it has significance in Lovecraft lore. They are the umbilical cords of females that have been impregnated by a great one. Aw, hell yeah. Hell yeah, baby. Oh yeah. Okay, that's fucked up. Anyway.
4 cords in the game that allow contact with the Great Ones, and...
Why does this man keep the cage on his face? I fucking hate this attire.
Mikolash had one. This cord granted Mensis audience with Murgo, but resulted in the stillbirth of their brains.
The stillbirth of their brains, meaning their brains developed throughout pregnancy, but once the creature was born into the world, its brain was not able to continue evolving past that point.
As we know, most Great Ones reside in the Nightmare Realm, and whatever
the Void
ritual they performed with this cord ripped Mensis and its students into a nightmare. That's why you find the
That's so fucking good, because again, they live here. They could just barely get past the Infinite Gate every once in a while to access other realms. So the idea that they use this umbilical cord to somehow tear a hole in the Infinite Gate to impact the Void and commune with these creatures is so scary.
lecture hall in the nightmare, and that's why there's hundreds of dead students throughout Yahar'gul.
Oh my god, they're all trapped in nightmares! Eternal nightmares to commune with these elder gods! Okay, that's scary as fuck.
All wearing the cage that appears to have delivered them to their harrowing nightmare. Mikolash's corpse provides a gateway into the nightmare, and we find him here.
It's interesting that this is like some sort of Inception shit, right? Like the idea that, because right now they're in some sort of dreamland, but this is a nightmare in the dreamland. It seems like this is almost a dreamland of a dreamland. It's like they have somehow ascended from the state of dreamland and they're in some sort of quasi space between the void and the dreamland, and that is a nightmare.
Clearly insane, wandering the halls. Mikolash believes that it's possible to ascend towards becoming a great one, citing Rom as his example. Rom, however, is not fully developed, rather she has the blood of their kin. And let's just go back to Rom for a second. When you defeat Rom, Queen Yharnam appears. She's a Tumerian woman who has clearly suffered a childbirth gone horribly wrong.
Oh my god, dude, everything is so fucking dark in this game. Look at her blood, the stain, again, bro. This is fucking scary ass symbolism. You just killed this this child of the Great Ones, and some spectral lady in a dress covered in blood.
She is linked to the nightmare of Mensis, to the ritual that
Rom, and she's in like handcuffs and everything.
Rom was hiding, and she appears in this nightmare, looking up towards Murgo's loft, where Murgo and his wet nurse reside. Queen Yharnam hails from the Tumerian civilization that was in power long ago, and she was blessed with a child of the Great Ones. From the way she appears outside Murgo's loft, it is clear that her consciousness, her spirit, was pulled into this nightmare as well.
Oh, God.
Even when you encounter Queen Yharnam's real self in the Tumerian tombs, the baby Murgo screams whenever you hit her, and even when you kill Yharnam in the tombs, it is clear that she is not actually dead.
This is so sad. Oh my god, cursed to wander for eternity, eternally living a life of someone that just lost a child in pregnancy. In some sort of stasis, living the nightmare endlessly. This is a nightmare realm, remember? Like, she will eternally be there suffering, feeling this nightmare and this loss.
But her horrific consciousness is only asleep, and it stirs in unsettling motions.
Her consciousness sleeps and her subconscious exists to just live in eternal torment. That is awful.
Her consciousness seems...
What is it with FromSoft games just taking powerful women and making them completely insane? We remember Renala from fucking Elden Ring? It's like, alright, strong woman character. Also, she's crazy now.
To be showing up here in the nightmare, completely separate from her physical form. The same thing is happening with you, with Mikolash, with the Great Ones in the nightmare with you. You all exist in this nightmare that Mensis created. So your next question is, which Great One impregnated Yharnam with Murgo all those years ago? I believe it is formless Erden. The Great One Erden, lacking form, exists only in voice.
Look at this creature. This is an eldritch horror. Like, it is so detached from humanity.
To cite the fastest evidence to
it doesn't look like anything in this world. Look at this fucking character design.
present, there's nothing in the cradle after you defeat Murgo, and Murgo himself...
Murgo's wet
Self,
nurse. Look at this creature.
child.
This is true. This is horror. It doesn't look human. It doesn't look animal. It looks like nothing out of this world.
has no form. Also, his cries are heard throughout your adventure. He exists everywhere. Additionally,
Of course he exists everywhere. You are in a state of subconscious. You're in a nightmare. You only exist to hear it scream and suffer. Dude, this is fucking scary as shit.
Murgo's wet nurse has no form under those robes. And also, the women that are impregnated when this blood moon descends are all related to Erden. But we'll get to that in another video. When you defeat Murgo's wet nurse, you get a message unlike any other that you've received thus far. Instead of prey slaughtered, you get nightmare slain. You defeated a true Great One that's elevated its consciousness to the nightmare realm, and the game is nearing its end.
Oh my god, that's how you defeat an actual Great One in this nightmare realm. Because you have also ascended. The same way this thing has ascended to a nightmare realm, you exist in a nightmare realm. And only with these two existing in the same plane of existence can they do battle.
However, all of this should make you think. The nightmare of Mensis isn't the only dream world I've set foot in, is it? This entire time I've actually been journeying out from the hunter's dream, guided by lanterns that led me to Murgo and her wet nurse, all of which is made possible by Gehrman and his doll. Travel to the hunter's workshop in the waking world and seek the truth. Every great one loses its child and then yearns for a surrogate.
Okay, that's what the umbilical cords are. Every great one loses its child and yearns for a surrogate. The third umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunters' dreams. They are not just birthing creatures by impregnating women. They are creating nightmares and the creatures that live within them. They are birthing worlds. Every great one loses its child and then yearns for a surrogate.
The third umbilical cord precipitated the encounter with the pale moon, which beckoned the hunters and conceived the hunter's dream. Next to the cord is the unanimated doll. Take a hairpin from this real doll and then pass it along to the doll in the dream. When you give her the hairpin,
this is the character that everyone's favorite character for some reason.
She sheds a single tear, which reads, "Created from the shining silver doll tear, this blood gem is a quiet yet unfaltering friend that can..."
Because tears are also, they come from the heart, the same way blood comes from the heart. I guess there is an overlap between the emotional thing that created. I'll finger that maiden. Chat, stop it! Don't get me started on this. This is so much darker than Elden Ring lore, or like, bro, it really is Lovecraftian in its horror. Whereas Lovecraft was all about writing books and stories about gods and creatures invading our world, this is about us and gods meeting in some sort of platonic world between ours. The land between, if you will. Like, it actually, this is such a fantastical, fascinating setting to write a horror story, where our world and a god's world converge.
Continually restores HP, the life essence of a hunter. Perhaps this doll's creator had wished for such a friend, albeit in vain. It's clear that Gehrman called upon the Great Ones using an umbilical cord, similar to the manner in which Mikolash did. The Great Ones that inhabit the nightmare.
Another really interesting thing that I notice playing Dark Souls games all the time. All right, let me see if I can pull up an image for this so I don't sound like a complete idiot. I'm gonna look like an idiot. I can't find a good image. Yep, cannot find a good image here. All right, I'm not gonna show this to you because you're gonna think it's completely insane and unhinged. Now, there is a theory from Sigmund Freud, I believe. Freud. Okay, you're gonna think I'm fucking crazy here, okay? But this is just something that I've noticed. So Sigmund Freud had a... In psychology, womb envy denotes the envy that men may feel of the biological functions of the female, okay? Now, there's this idea of how every man, you're gonna think I'm fucking crazy, has this idea of wanting to return to the womb to some degree. But like, if you look at a lot of the characters in Dark Souls, and especially a lot of the monsters, a lot of the creatures, they all look okay, you're gonna think I'm fucking crazy, but they all look very vagina-like. Like, a lot of them. Who let Sigmund cook? Listen, I'm just saying. But like, I'm just saying, minus the teeth. This is a giant vagina, okay? And there are a lot of ideas of entering a womb. Like, if you look at the Dark Souls first cutscene, let me see if I can pull it up. Skip the prison. All right, look at this thing.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall visit.
God, it's so iconic.
To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage.
Alright. The undead asylum seemingly... It seems like some sort of gestational metaphor in the way I'm trying to understand this. Yeah, that's definitely not the cinematic I was thinking of. Yeah, editor son is gonna have to do some major work here. But there's a lot of really interesting creatures here.
Part 1, back to the womb.
Back to the womb! You see, I told you I wasn't completely crazy!
Let's start at the beginning. The first Dark Souls begins with a visual birthing scene.
Right, look at that! That there, that's the scene I was actually looking for.
They are sympathetic in spirit and often answer when called upon. Gehrman, lonely and lacking purpose after the church had no more need for his workshop, must have called upon the Great Ones. A Great One responded, the pale moon presence, and imprisoned Gehrman within the dream. For while Gehrman...
Dude, look at this This image is fucking crazy. This image is insane. You feel the terror of the descent of this god.
Responded the pale moon presence and imprisoned Gehrman within the dream. For while Gehrman sleeps, he utters this rare piece of dialogue that clearly shows he does not want to be here.
Oh, Laurence, Master Willem.
Oh, it's tragic.
Somebody, help me. Unshackle me.
Oh god, you're not gonna kill him, are you?
Please, anybody. I've had enough of this dream. The night blocks all sight. Oh, somebody, please.
So for what purpose was the dream conceived? Well, the doll tells us that countless hunters have passed through here, and all of the graves tell us that as well. And Eileen and Jura both have dialogue that is testament to that fact. They talk about how they've been through this dream before as well. So why are hunters being sent through this dream, unable to pass away?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Ultimately, that's the ultimate question.
Just forced to go out into the world and kill beasts. It becomes clearer when you kill Murgo's wet nurse. You return to the hunter's workshop burning down, the dream's purpose fulfilled.
You fulfill the purpose of your dream. Everyone's in here for some sort of purpose. It's purposeful, and then it burns down everything you know and love because you no longer have any reason to exist in this dream. That's just an extra level of darkness. God, this story is horrifying and harrowing. It truly is the embodiment of fear. Fear of the unknown, of a god that you can't understand, of a dream world that you have no control over.
Go, the purpose of your dream and your hunt appears to have been to slay a great one. 3 endings are presented to you. The first. Gehrman offers you a way out of the dream. He asks you to accept your death, for if you do, then you'll awaken in the waking world of Yharnam, and your consciousness will be no longer
oh my god, they execute you.
Linked to the dream.
They execute you to de-link you from the dream world, where you did some great thing, but you'll never be able to take it with you.
The trophy for this ending reads, "You lived through the hunt and saw another day." The second option is to reject Gehrman. He suggests that to do so must be a decision caused by madness, and he pits his will against yours to forcibly remove you from the dream.
Oh god.
All the while, he entreats you to accept your death and be freed from this dream. If you overpower Gehrman, we meet with the moon presence.
Oh,
the
God.
being that appears to have
The moon presence. It is the godly manifestation of the moon. That is cosmic horror. Like, a lot of Lovecraftian cosmic horror is the idea that different cosmic bodies have actual consciousness to some degree.
Conceived this nightmare. Just like the nightmare Murgo conceived. It embraces you, and in the cutscene to follow,
Bro, so the entire thing was, your entire journey was just the dream of a god?
See ourselves performing the same role that Gehrman did, hosting the dream.
Oh my god, and you host the dream for another generation! Oh my god, truly an endless cycle. These creatures are truly beyond your knowing or understanding.
Likely a slave to the moon presence, or perhaps its surrogate child, guiding hunters throughout this dream in an effort to slay other great ones.
For eternity! Oh my god.
The trophy for this ending reads,
I love when the moon presence goes, it's mooning time, and moons all over the place. This is why I don't read chat.
Captivated by the moon presence, you pledge to watch over the hunter's dream. There's one key thing you need to remember. The Great Ones are a race, but they're a race unlike any other. Each Great One is entirely unique, and they do not necessarily work together. In fact, from
Yeah, we noticed that. Classic Lovecraftian mythos. They do not all get along. I mean, they sort of work together because they have to. Azathoth is so powerful that it can consume all the other Great Ones. So in order to keep Azathoth at peace, certain Great Ones keep it asleep while Nyarlathotep ends up hunting humans to keep feeding it so it never needs to wake up and consume other Great Ones. Like, that's classic Lovecraftian mythos. Like, each one works to subdue the others, or else they'll all end up destroyed.
From the existence of the dream, I'm almost inclined to believe that the moon presence is hostile towards other Great Ones. In the third and final ending, you consume 3 umbilical cords and resist the will of the moon presence.
Wait, you fight
You
it?
overpower it, and in the cutscene to follow, the doll coddles the being you have become.
The being you have become? You become this slug thing after...
You have ascended, truly, as few have before you.
Oh my god, you actually overcome the moon presence, you ascend, and you become some sort of god at the very end, where your manifestation ends up this little slug creature on the floor. Like you, I have no mouth and I must scream.
The trophy description states, "You became an infant great one, lifting humanity into its next childhood."
Into its next childhood. God fucking damn it. There's so much philosophy in this game. I feel like every single phrase is referential to something. Every pregnancy, every infant, every all of that shit. It's all referential to some sort of philosophical thing. Dude, I feel like I could dive into Bloodborne lore forever.
So after the end of all this, you probably
I proceed to pleasure myself with this fish.
still have questions. What is pale blood? Why does the moon presence guide hunters towards killing beasts and great ones? Which ending is the good ending? For all this and more, you need to be subscribed to the channel. I'll have another video out soon analysing the endings, and from here on out, the channel should split into 3 main parts. There's going to be the lore hunting series, where we focus on one aspect of the lore and really figure it out.
God, it's so crazy to hear him talk about where the channel is going 9 years ago.
There's going to be Prepare to Cry, which is my favourite series. It's a series where I tell the story of a character within Bloodborne's universe, and there's going to be things you missed, which are short.
I cannot believe 9 years later and he's doing exactly the same shit with his content. Dude, this video was awesome. Bloodborne lore is truly, truly epic. Thank you all so much for pestering me for so long to watch it. God damn, this was some really good shit. Right, look at that. That there, that's the scene I was actually looking for. I thought it didn't exist, but no, this is the scene I was talking about.
Let's start at the beginning. The first Dark Souls begins with...
You see it with like the fucking dark vagina awakens.
The visual birthing scene.
This is a birthing scene.
Plunges into a crevice that, let's face it, is deliberately shaped like a vagina.
Man, I can't believe you would say something like that. See, I wasn't cooking too hard. It's real. I was really cooking.
2, we have a similar scene, only this time structured in reverse.
Right? Reverse vagina.
Begin the game inside a labyrinth of tunnels, tubes, and caverns, and we have to work our way out till we go through a vagina-like crevice into...
Man spitting. I cannot argue with the man. Man's just spitting. Look at the humanity shards.
And in Dark Souls 1, the essential item humanity is very deliberate.
Please tell me what this... Guys, I'm telling you, it's not a coincidence. I told you this was an obvious reference. I'm telling you guys. They all thought I was mad. They thought I was a madman. Now what am I? That's what I've been telling you. And it shows up constantly in. Oh shit, we know that. That's what it talks about in Constant Dark. Anyway, if you want me to do philosophy Dark Souls videos, maybe I'll even react to this video. Lol. Okay. Okay, maybe I was overcooking. Maybe I was overcooking, but I feel like there are too many references for there are too many references for it to just be a coincidence. But anyway, this has been the Bloodborne lore dive. Thank you all so much for being here. I do appreciate all of you, very much. Very much. Let me know future lore you want me to cover, because Bloodborne was actually kind of goated. It was kind of goated. Love this one. Thank you for being here, and bye. If you made it to the end, click one of these 2 videos, which also will definitely get me canceled. See you live on Kick. Stay weird, fam.